let's get something out of the way. I've never really been a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan. I was on the tail end of the right age to be a part of the fandom. There were some cool cartoons out there when I was a kid, but I just never really connected with it. I would always get tired of the Turtles' silly, overdone, bro-y kind of shtick really quickly whenever I tried to watch one of these movies from the 90s, on top of it just being, like, absurdly silly. The suits that these guys were wearing, it just, I don't know, man. It never worked for me. I never could take it seriously, and I don't know, I didn't really have fun with it. It wasn't my brand of fun. So when the first trailer dropped for Mutant Mayhem, I guess I was a little more excited than I normally would have been for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, given the fact that the creative team consisted primarily of people involved with Mitchell's vs. the Machines, which, oh my god, that movie is fucking incredible. Please go watch it, and the Spider-Verse films. And yet, it was still a TMNT movie, so how good could it really be? I mean, look, the talent was there. I was down to go along with it, but was it going to be my thing? Well, as it turns out, it was. It was really goddamn great. I don't know if I'm necessarily a TMNT convert, but this version, Mutant Mayhem, is awesome, and it feels like the first TMNT movie to really capture what makes these four turtles tick among the fan base. It's not the most stunning, perfect masterpiece the way the first two Spider-Verse movies are, but that doesn't make it lesser. It's still excellent in its own ways, and it's excellent enough to make you say, "Holy chalupa, are you ready for a challenge?" Compete with other players and reach the Olymp with your champ in Pocket Champs, today's sponsor. Pocket Champs is a free-to-download game on iOS and Android where you coach your champ to unlock its potential by selecting the right training and letting it compete in races. Strategize to find the best race strategy through world analysis and gadget selection, and when you've taken them as far as you can, trust your champ. Lay back and watch them race. Cute, accessible, and fully customizable champs train while you're away, so you don't have to constantly pore over the screen to succeed, and the races themselves are automatic. As your champ starts winning, you can claim hundreds of gadgets, skins, and other rewards on your way to becoming the best champ coach. Pocket Champs updates every month with exclusive content, and I've partnered with Pocket Champs to offer you guys my favorite skin, White Wolf. Click the link in my description or scan the QR code to download Pocket Champs, and the skin will be automatically added to your account on August 15th. The reward has a $9.99 value and is only available until August 14th, so hurry up, guys. Download Pocket Champs from the link in my description, and you'll be giving yourself high threes in no time as you start winning races. And thank you so much to Pocket Champs for sponsoring this video. It's clear that the emphasis with this version of TMNT was to make it as authentic to the teen experience as possible, something most of the other TMNT movies miss, the live-action ones particularly, because they're more like a typical 90s PG-13 comedy. And then there's whatever the hell the 2014 film was, and that awful sequel. God, oh. And speaking of the turtles themselves, most of the time the turtles are voiced by grown men trying to play teens, and it always shows. In Mutant Mayhem, they use actual teen voice actors, and the results are incredible. Not only that, but allowing them to riff, talk over each other, actually bond and rib in the voice booth is arguably the film's greatest asset. The film understands that the Ninja Mutant action stuff is cool. We get a healthy share of it, but even as something of an outsider to this franchise, I can tell that the thing which draws people to this franchise, the thing that the filmmakers wisely wanted to focus on, is the brotherly bond and teenage spirit of the entire property. It's the fact that we could all relate to the turtles in some capacity, especially as kids just trying to fit in and wanting to be accepted, wanting to have a normal life and partake in the experiences of humans living in the world above us, the way the turtles want to do the same in the world above them. Jeff Rowe, the director of Mutant Mayhem, said, "The film acknowledges fantastical things in a way that grounds them in the real world. The turtles' separation from the outside world mirrors a teen's desire to fit in. The other movies have tried to capture this feeling, but this movie is the most successful piece of media at actually capturing it since, well, I don't know if any other piece of turtle media ever has really captured it for my money. I also really love this version of Splinter, voiced by the incredible Jackie Chan. I mean, oh god, he's so good in this. It makes his overprotectiveness of the brothers more relatable and even logical. The effect his helicopter parenting has on their worldview also makes a lot more sense and is actually rather profound. The idea that being a rat, he was constantly rejected, fighting for his life, and his only friend in the world who understood his plight was a cockroach, who he then watched get stepped on right before his very eyes. He was thrust into the cruelty of the outside world. Society forced him into a corner that almost caused him to turn to desperation and violence to become the thing they feared him to be, until he stumbled upon the turtles and they changed his life forever. He found a purpose because they were the only creatures that didn't want to eat or kill him. They were just innocent children who stumbled into a puddle of ooze and needed a father figure, to which Splinter found his calling and raised them as his own. And the ooze transformed him too, signifying how being a father to the turtles changed him. It wasn't a mutation, it was a new purpose. And there came a point where Splinter was willing to give the outside world a chance because he could tell his sons were so desperately wanting to experience it for themselves, but when it went exactly the way he feared it would, it only caused him to double down on his biases and hatred for the outside world, causing him to train the brothers in the way of martial arts instead. They're secluded, hidden away by Splinter, and turned into weapons of self-defense because of Splinter's own horrible and hostile experiences with humans. New York City, and really humanity in general, live in fear of the mutants because of the acts of Superfly, a mutant fly who was one of the original experiments of Dr. Stockman, the scientist behind the ooze that mutated the turtles. Superfly is playing into humanity's fears because if they won't accept him at face value, then what's the point? He'll burn it all down instead, flip the script and make the animals the dominant species and humans the pets, the circus freaks. This just further fuels humanity's prejudice, and since they have nothing else to contrast this worldview with, it makes it more difficult for the turtles to come out of the shadows. And all of this is a really compelling way of examining parental experiences of trauma and how that trickles down to our children. I mean, quite literally, the ooze trickles down to the turtles because of Baxter Stockman and everything he was trying to do with his experiences. It's just, yeah, it's fucking great. And sure, Splinter might be partially right about the outside world, but you don't have to be a mutated rat or turtle to be at risk of encountering the outside world's cruelty. You can't insulate yourself from it completely. That's not a solution or a way to live, and Splinter shouldn't dictate how the brothers live their lives. They should be allowed to experience things and find themselves as people. Plus, as we see through April, they might come to realize that there are even humans out there that understand their plight and can relate, helping to break down the barriers. The fact that Splinter and the Turtles didn't make sense or are this weird amalgamation of family is part of what made their bond so strong and authentic. They learned to love and empathy, especially Splinter, through one another, and became a family. Family is the one you make. It's the people you surround yourself with. Sure, there's blood, but that isn't a guarantee that someone will be a positive presence in your life just because you share DNA. Look at Superfly and his gang. Technically, they're cousins to the Turtles, and that allows them to connect and empathize for a bit, but that doesn't necessarily make them family, especially since Superfly is so committed, so blinded by hatred and rage that it goes against the morals of the Turtles. But I also love how Superfly swooped in as this parental figure for Baxter Stockman's other creations, rescuing them and raising them. It makes him much more three-dimensional, much more sympathetic, and ultimately a villain that you want to see turn good in the end, even if he doesn't. It's also one of the script's smarter choices that the extreme aggression is coming from an animal as widely hated, killed, and rejected as a fly, one of the only things people en masse hate more than a rat, arguably. And I really like how the villains and the scientists also mirror the turtles and their desire to fit in. Dr. Baxter Stockman created the ooze to use on his own creatures, Superfly's mutant squad, because he never had a family. This gave him the opportunity to make his own. It was all in service of finally being happy. But of course, the evil corporation in this film wanted to weaponize this ooze and replicate his research for profit. That even circles back to both April and the Turtles doing the right things for the wrong reasons. I love how much dimension they give April in this film. She made a public mistake, puked on camera because of extreme anxiety, and it went viral, ultimately ostracizing her. She wants to be known for something cool, to be liked and seen as a hero instead of just puke girl by stopping Superfly. Through the Turtles, April saw a story that would scrub away the puke girl image that got her rejected by her peers. She's trying to use the Turtles as a story to revamp her image. She's exploiting the needs of the Turtles, and it's only after she sees that the Turtles are unwavering in their pursuit of acceptance, making all of these mistakes to get people to like them, that she recognizes she's doing everything for the wrong reasons. The Turtles are more than just a story to be exploited, a prize to be won. Maybe by taking the time to listen, by allowing their story to be told genuinely without any ulterior motives, she and the rest of New York City will come to see the Turtles as being not too dissimilar from them. There's an opportunity for her to make a change in the lives of these outcasts who she can relate to, because she's also an outcast. She understands firsthand how it is they're feeling. April comes to understand the power of journalism, to give a voice to the voiceless and inform the public on the reality of a situation. Splinter also comes to learn that he's doing it all for the wrong reasons, trying to control the Turtles because he's devoted his life to them, because they're all he has and he's been rejected by society. He feels as though the same fate is an inevitability for his sons. He has to learn to let go. He has to learn to want humans to like the Turtles because they want humans to like them. He learns to act out of love for his children, putting his biases and fears aside for the good of his kids. The Turtles also learn that simply showing up to save the day and looking heroic on camera won't necessarily change the public opinion of them. All the city sees is monsters attacking Manhattan. They see the wrath of Superfly, and the Turtles and other mutants are unfairly roped in with that. Their plan to be cool, accepted, and popular doesn't go down the way they think, and it's only then that they're confronted with the fact that they were in it for the wrong reasons. Trying to act cool is actually the least cool thing you can do. What is cool is authenticity and being yourself. By trying so hard to be heroes, the Turtles weren't very heroic and often failed, clashed, and only made it out of situations by the skin of their teeth and sheer dumb luck. It's also in being themselves and just genuinely wanting to do the right thing that the Turtles are able to work together efficiently and effectively as a team. I also adore how the animation captures this. The distinct personality of each turtle, the fluidity of the movement, how the art style is almost like classroom drawings or sketches with a little bit of imperfect juvenile street art thrown in there. TMNT Mutant Mayhem has its own distinct vibe and identity, and that's part of what endeared me to it. It could have easily just tried to replicate what Spider-Verse was doing because, let's face it, every studio is trying to have their version of Spider-Verse. That would just be trying to act cool. And what's also great about the Turtles learning to embrace their individuality is how it helps them find community apart from each other when they arrive at high school. They get in with groups they mostly relate to and are a part of. I actually love how all the Turtles find other mutants they can connect to in Superfly's gang and pair up with them. It's a nice precursor to them in high school, finding commonality and community. I also think it's a great way of showing how segregated the mutants have been for so long, and that they didn't even realize there were other people similar to them genetically out there. It's also what makes the reflection shared between Superfly and Splinter all the more effective. Splinter sees what he's becoming in Superfly and how he treats his gang. Listening to me is the only way to be happy, is something Splinter says when rescuing the boys from the milking lab, and then he hears Superfly echo it, which is when he realizes what he's been doing and what he's been teaching the Turtles. There's a matter-of-factness to the film that's a bit of a double-edged sword, working both for and against it. It's great when we're living in the moments of the Turtles just being teens, doing stuff together, being themselves, and bonding. But in the big climactic moments, such as the fight with Superfly, the epic nature of the confrontation is at odds with a more mellow approach to it all. The big moments don't land as hard as perhaps they could. The clash isn't super distracting. Like I said, the other movies were much more egregious, but there's definitely a dissonance. But ultimately, there is something just really endearing about the laid-back vibes of Mutant Mayhem. Jeff Rowe, Seth Rogen, and Evan Goldberg really lean into the 90s skate culture, hip-hop fueled vibes of the whole thing. This version of the Turtles makes such an awesome vibe with surprising depth and emotion to be found. And the Reznor and Ross score, man, oh, it rules. Their scores always do, that's kind of a given, but nevertheless, I love how this was a fun throwback to Reznor's work in the 90s with 9 Inch Nails. At the end of the day, Mutant Mayhem has to be the best, by far, TMNT movie to date. It's a feel-good little film, one of the most feel-good films of the year so far, that put a smile on my face, and based on that, man, I could watch like 10 more of these things. Let's keep the adventures going. I'm loving this version, I'm loving the Turtles, I'm loving the action, the art style. This is just one project that simply worked because the creatives involved understood the heart of these characters, why it resonated with so many audiences, and wasn't afraid to throw it back to the era that originated these iconic Turtles. Click the link in my description or scan the QR code to download Pocket Champs, and thank you so much to Pocket Champs for sponsoring this video.